Hey guys, Jason Sensational here, and back at again with a deck guide for Lurk. It's a deck that has been brought to the meta recently with the additions of Rek'Sai and Pike, kind of forced together to put into one deck. Obviously this was a deck that was really intended to be built in a very similar fashion, but it's kind of drifted in and out of the meta. It doesn't really have the highest play rate, and sometimes it doesn't really have the highest win rate either. But it's just one of those decks that I look back and I think that it has like good matchups against so many different decks that are seemingly commonly played, and I had to go back and at least make this for you guys. So without further ado, let's jump right into the deck guide. I'm sure many of you guys have seen this kind of list if you have played this kind of deck before. It's very standard, it's very hard to get out of it. You have to play a lot of different Lurk cards in your deck, and that doesn't leave you with much space elsewhere. We are on Bloodbaits. I think this is a really cool combo card that has a really high potential to really just roll over your opponent depending on how you use it, and when, if you do have it, you can use it. Bone Skier is just that card that really ties it together, giving us that extra card to interact with our opponent's board, fight off some removal, and give us a little bit additional value. If you want to recycle Recall, if you want to recycle like a Pike or Rek'Sai, we have that option. Ruthless Predator is the card that can help you not only challenge units to hook with like Pike, for example, or get a good trade off with any of your other Lurk units, but also to surprise level Rek'Sai. Other than that, we have one Deny in the form of Ridingation, as well as one Preservarium just for a little bit extra draw, and every other classic Lurk plus Predict card kind of thrown into a package. So from a game plan perspective, it is quite simple. We're trying to maximize as many Lurks as we can, especially with Rek'Sai. How this deck is built out, we not only have good cards play on curve, we have Snapdraw Storm, which allows us to lurk on our opponent's attack tokens so that we can continue to maximize our lurks. Now, when we're attacking, we're going to try to guarantee that we have a Lurk card on top of our deck, and so we have cards like Aspiring Chronomancer and Xerxite Caller that can help us predict. And now, when we want to try to use these on our attack turns so that we can either hit, our main cards such as Rek'Sai and Pike, but also to just guarantee us that Lurk. We can play them on our off turns, so long as that we're either just trying to set up a better play for the next turn, or we have another predict in hand. But it's very important to save these predict cards for when you need them to guarantee you to hit that lurk, because one way that this deck kind of falls apart is that you don't hit your lurks when you need to. Maybe you Snapdraw Storm into your opponent's board and you don't get that lurk for that favorable trade, and then you're in a really rough spot. Now, this is where kind of Bloodbait comes into handy. Because we want to be maximizing our lurks with Rek'Sai, Bloodbait actually lets us put a Snapdraw Storm on top of our deck, and so that we stack it on top of Rek'Sai, and then we get a play on our following turn, usually our opponent's attack token turns, and we get that additional lurk. Now here's just a sample curve that kind of maximizes that opportunity. Let's assume we're attacking on evens, and so we're attacking on turns 2 and 4. Turn 1, if you have a 1-drop, you can play it good. Now you always want to make sure you have a unit going into turn 2 so that when you have something to attack into Lurk. Because if you skip your turn 1 and then you play a 2-drop on 2, and then your opponent kills that 2-drop, now you can't attack and you can't lurk. This is pretty crucial if you have like a Pike that you want to put on top with this Chronomancer. You have to be very careful about how you want to play this out. Turn 4 is where things get a little bit interesting. If you have a Predict and you have mana for Bloodbait and you hit that Rek'Sai, this is where things get a little bit more interesting, because now you can double predict that Rek'Sai to really snowball your advantage across your opponent. So now that we covered the basics of how you want to approach the deck, there are a few combos that you should be aware of and thinking about as you're kind of piling a deck, because this is kind of going to add that extra layer of complexity towards your game plan, as well as give you these weird lines that you can take to synergize to hit your lurks on your champions. The first one is obviously the ones that put a card on top of your deck. This is where a card like Call to Pack comes in handy for when you draw your champion and you don't necessarily want to play it out, because Obviously, if you lurk Pike, the Pike spell is a lot more impactful, and if Rek'Sai is not leveled when you're playing it out, then you don't really want to make that commitment. So Collar Pack is perfect for shuffling a card on top of your deck in order to hit that lurk on the champion that you really need. Now, Bone Skewer also fits a very similar role in the sense that you can equally Bone Skewer a Rek'Sai or a Pike in order to hit it. This is a little bit more awkward with Rek'Sai, of course, because you have to play Rek'Sai, then Bone Skewer it, and then attack for that matter. But these are just things to consider, especially when you have cards like Bloodbait, which make Bone Skewer slightly less awkward, not only because it guarantees you a unit to play to hit that lurk, but also to control which turn you want to hit that lurk on. That's a little bit about Bloodbait, not only allowing you to lurk off token in case you really need to ramp up that lurk stat, but also to give you that extra turn of lurking Rek'Sai. And this is where Bloodbait is primarily used within this deck. Not really you would never use Bloodbait to guarantee a lurk. That kind of just really slows down your game plan, and you don't really want to use it to get a lurk next turn, because there are a lot better ways to use this card, primarily using it right after you predict and lurk Rek'Sai. Finally, we have Ruthless Predator, just a little bit of extra reach to not only level up your champions such as Rek'Sai and Pike, but also to guarantee you a favorable trade or two. And conveniently, this also helps pop spell shields, which could come in handy in a very niche case. This is where it feels it tugs on my heartstrings just a tad, because when you play against this deck or you're playing this deck, sometimes you just feel on top of the world. You just you hit Rek'Sai early, maybe you hit Rek'Sai more than one time, you hit that Pike or whatever it be, you have like a really good curve, you have really high tempo on board, you're trading like a 1-drop for their 4-drop, and you just feel like a god. And then there are other games where things don't go your way, you attack on one and then you miss your lurk. You draw all your champions and you don't draw like Collar Pack or anything like that, and you're just stuck with a kind of a dead hand. And this is where the matchup tables get a little bit swingy, because I think when played right and when high rolled appropriately, Lurk feels like it can really beat most decks out there. You're just able to trade up really efficiently because your 1-drops have like 5-6 attack. You have the spells and units that grant vulnerable, you have that removal with Pike, and you have just ways to shut down your opponent with a leveled Pike. And this is where things kind of get a little bit interesting. Now, I know Azir has become the top of the meta ladder once again, and this matchup kind of comes down to whether or not you draw enough Pikes, because Azir just historically doesn't have a good way of dealing with Pike. When they attack with their 1/1 blades, you kind of feed your Pike, and if they don't have ways of killing your Pike, it makes their attacks really awkward. But if you don't draw Pike, then that matchup feels completely different. Your units have pretty low health, and you can't really make very many good blocks. Where I think Lurk shines a little bit better, of course, is in those slightly slower matchups that depend a little bit more on their board and have a little bit harder time removing like 1 to 2 health units. These include the Ionia decks like Ez Karma, Zoe Lee, or even like Shrima Lee, and some of the other Sivir decks that are just very board mid-range intensive decks, or slightly slower that require them to stall out the game plan, but you come crashing in with really high amounts of tempo with your strong big sized Lurk units. Now, where Lurk kind of struggles is a little bit more is against some of the more aggro decks, some decks that kind of just race you down if you draw a little bit slow start, because you generally want to curve a little bit more out, hitting your predicts on the turns, and then they can just drop like 3 1-drops and kind of roll you over, and again, you don't really have good answers to burn cards. But again, I feel like this deck can feel so strong, and it can also lose to itself at the same time. So be advised, I think it's a very well positioned and strong deck at the moment, but you might be a little bit frustrated when playing this deck a couple of times. So I just want to showcase a few games for you guys, to showcase, you know, hitting that lurk, hitting that combo, getting enough Rek'Sais, and showing what that end stage looks like. But then some games where you're just able to still grind out your opponent because you do have that little mid-range end curve, you do have the call to packs, you do have leveling Rek'Sai to give you a little bit more of that value. But once you get the basics down to this deck, it can feel like a really tuned engine to move forward. So 3 games against 3 different Ionia decks. A little bit of a coincidence there, but I hope you guys enjoy. If you like the deck guide, feel free to stick around for the games and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That'd mean a lot to me, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much. Okay, interesting. Giving the 3-drop when we're not attacking. I don't need to explain myself. Ha ha ha. Alright. I don't know why he would give me this attack or this bluff. Maybe it makes sense for him. I can't even like snap draw. Oh, that's so sad. Can't pass this turn either. What am I called up hacking here? Probably the pike, because I'm not using on the Rek'Sai. Kind of forced to play this. If I had hit Lurk turn 1, I'd just put Rek'Sai in and this had 3 attack and I can trade. But because I couldn't, I'm kind of forced to play very defensively. Say this for Viego. Does it kill Viego? It does not, does it? +2, this deals 4. This can't even kill Viego, man. We should take this pass. If we play this, he plays Viego. That's not like terrible either. Interesting. Who's more behind? He could also just like play like the... Yeah. He could like play like Death Mark onto me and that'd feel really bad. We'll test the waters. Interesting. Okay, so this is now at 5. And at the current state, it can kill his Viego. Vow Feast. Can't kill a Snapvine, which is actually kind of worrying. Because next turn's turn 7, right? This only has +3, which means that 5, which is 1 short of playing Snapvine. Deals 5, I have deny up. You can't sacrifice something to protect his Viego here. This is just like a deny, which I deny back. I can open attack with Call the Pack if I really wanted to. And if that's a plan, I'm just going to jam Preservarium now. He's under Ruination mana, which makes me really want to develop. Nice. How good is it if we develop? This is probably okay. You can play like Chemovoran Soldier, and that's actually a pretty big punish. I have Yellowfish coming down, so it can blow up a lot of threats that he wants to play. That's fine. I'll let him Death Mark first. Sure. Goodbye, Pike. I guess we got like somewhat punished for not developing. But he can't really develop with Yellowfish in hand. At least it becomes quite hard for him to. And then next turn we have Rek'Sai leveling. On our next attack turn, I mean. It's fine. Okay. Worst case scenario, he just like plays Viego. I just jam Yellowfish here. No. I can also just play like 5 into 3. And then jam Yellowfish next turn. Next turn I just want to play Rek'Sai, man. Get out of here. There's nothing you can really play this with 6 mana that really scares me. And there should not really be a way for him to... yeah. Inner peace. Inner peace. Inner peace. Inner peace. This fearsome's good, because he plays a 2-1-on-1, and then he can't block. Keeps 3. A little bit worrisome. Intelleptix Pike, like a pro. Oh. Interesting. We're gaming, sort of. Bloodbait's not good if I don't have a way of putting Rek'Sai back in my deck. This is gonna be a sad day if I like miss this Lurk. So really merciless is this? I guess he just blocks here. And then hooks with this next turn. Oh, I got Pike sick. That's so good. It's blocking? Interesting. Blocking both. Very interested. I don't know if I would do that. Sad about Sivir next turn. Interesting pass. Maybe another Lurk with Snapjaw. Could have even Death from Below, and that might have been better. sure. He gets a free 2-for-1. Okay. Perfect.
Would you look at this place?
Not a huge fan of doing this. If he has a concussive palm, I'm quite sad. I really need this Rek'Sai to level up for my hand, for like value. This is good, because he's committed to the attack. You can like force out deny here, but if he's passing, I'm kind of happy as well. Okay. So, I'm gonna guess he has concussive palm. Which actually kind of sucks. So I'll force him to palm this, I guess. It could be in a better spot. Might even like summon a charger. Goes for the draw. And there's the concussive palm, okay. He has refuge. I will trade like this. And now we have 2 pikes on board, it becomes extremely difficult for him to deal. There's no punish to this. There's no recall, there's no notify. Not that you can notify the spell anyway. The moment this next pike strikes, it levels, and we have Rek'Sai. Why are they on board? Baited out the palm. Not developing. I should have took that pass, but like, what was he afraid of? If he's not developing there. Yeah. Let's just open attack. Oh, I guess. In case I needed more. It's possible it was like ghost, flurry, palm, something. And he's dead regardless. Does he run 3 palms? Maybe whack. Sure. Oh boy. Let's go. Up against the boy. Something like that. We'll keep our predict, especially attack on evens. We can just like, it's important to note that even if you're not attacking with a Lurk monster, you can still Lurk on your turn as long as you're attacking. There's a reason why I kept Call the Pack, just for if we draw our champions like the good player we are. I'm not sure if his version's running Deny, but if it is, I just hope it's not. Ooh, these actually suck. It's not what I would have liked. He's thinking about whether or not he wants to play, like, Brightsteel. Whether or not he wants to Sharp Sight this turn. Car. Oh, okay. Didn't quite expect that. So I feel like something really interesting, right? He played Brightsteel and then he traded, which I'm honestly pretty happy about him not using the barrier this turn. We know we have Rex on top of our deck, so how do we utilize that? It's actually kind of hard with this current hand. I'd have to like play Rek'Sai this turn, which is really awkward. Cause like if I play this, it just gets blocked by the Fleet Feather. So awkward. I might even just like call the pack Pike right now and like play this. I don't think I can just slam Rek'Sai. Okay, well I found some pretty good cards, at the very least. So I save myself 2 health. He draws a free spell, which is a little bit rough. But not too much you can do there. This Pike deals a good amount, 6. He has a hard time dealing with this. Wow. Is that correct? Is Call the Pack better? That's so bizarre. Like, I can Call the Pack this Rek'Sai. No, this I should turbo level Rek'Sai, because he has a very hard time stopping this. And he even has a hard time stopping this. Like, if he trades Sharp Sight here, that's his whole turn. And I'm happy about that. If he has to, like, use, like, a Riposte or something, that's even better. But it just, like, stifles his development. Okay, Riposte is good. Also stifles his next turn development, because anything he plays just dies to Lurk. Or Death from Below, rather. And I'm setting up, like, a very dangerous attack. Next turn I get 7. Depending on what he does here, I might even just play 5, and then I play Rek'Sai into Pike next turn. And then that basically plays around like any concerted strike you could have. And maybe I don't need to use Death from Below now, and then I can develop like this Overwhelm unit. I think that's better. Rek'Sai levels the attack, assuming I hit Lurk. Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm just playing this. Because he needs to play units and then have spell mana. So let's say he plays like a The only thing that can Conserve Strike Rek'Sai is like the Screeching Dragon. So he's gonna spend his whole turn playing Screeching Dragon, or not. And now he like can't kill Rek'Sai, right? And if he tries to kill Rek'Sai, we have death from. Oh my god. If he tries to kill Rek'Sai, we have death from below. And this is like a fork that we have him in. We can even just like call the pack to guarantee the Rek'Sai hit. It's possible we should just call the pack this turn. Yeah, this is a really good spot that we have him in. Like, he can't kill Rek'Sai, my Rek'Sai. Oh, wow. I guess that makes sense, huh? Okay. I need to make sure I level my Rek'Sai. What does this actually do when I level up? Okay. So, I don't really care about future Rek'Sais. So I just do this. Or do I? I do this. I can even get the vulnerable dude and just make my attack infinitely worse, or better. That's not the case. So we just level Rek'Sai here then. Oh, y'all fish, that's insane. He kind of has to make the block with Jarvan, but that doesn't like really affect him. We can like play double one drop into our Yallfish, and that's gonna be insane. Because that basically forces an open attack from him. God, these are 10-1s. And then we still have Death from Below in our back pocket. Oh, we can't even play Yellowfish, never mind. But we can play... Oh no, we can't even do that. I think it's like replay Rek'Sai. He can't tap under Deny, otherwise he's like ultimately screwed. Which is like not bad for us either. Next turn we have Yellowfish. We also just have big overwhelm idiots. Our Pike's close to leveling up from the spell itself. This base stat was what? 2? We have +8, so it's 2 off. Because these are 1, so these +9. Pike is +9, so it's 3 off actually. But no matter. If he passes this turn, we'll just pass back and play Yellowfish. Yep. You have no attack. It's on him. If he doesn't like attack, we have like big ass overwhelms coming down, especially with Rite of Negation. And if he does this, we just replay Rek'Sai. And that's, I think, an even bigger problem for him. Better play would just be to hook like a 10-1 here. It's like a very good trade for him. And by very good trade for him, he's trading a 3-drop for a 1-drop. He's very careful. This is just like mind games. Even if he doesn't have Deny, he can't tap below 4. Because I don't know if he has Deny or not. Okay, never mind. That made my decision 10 times easier. We just get rid of his Challenger. If you get rid of his Challenger, he just has no attack. I mean, I kind of want him to kill my Rek'Sai, so there's no real point. Otherwise, he's challenged like a 10-1. Let's just say goodbye to this pod. Yeah, or J4. I think pod or J4. You can't replay J4 this turn. It has the most attack, I guess. Not that that's like a very important factor in all this. Again, he pretty much has no attack, especially into this Pike now. He can't attack with any unit, except for the 5-6. If he attacks with the 5-6, we trade with the 10-1, and he's trading down like 5 mana. So his only attack here is with the Protege, either on like the 10-1 or Rek'Sai. If he trades with that, I just have another Rek'Sai here, and that just seals the game. Next turn I have Rek'Sai plus Rite, or I have Rite of Negation up. Yep. And the Ruthless. Something like that. What's cool here is that when Pike levels up, obviously it clears the Overwhelm blockers. And I get to push extra damage. And then after all that, I still have Yellowfish. And more Overwhelms. Sure. He has to block the Pike, right? Oh, yeah, he's forced to block the Pike. I guess he's gonna try to concerted the Pike. Oh, that's not smart. So he's gonna barrier this guy as well. That could be pretty strong. I think what it's likely to be is just a concerted strike on my Pike or something, or even like Rek'Sai, and I just have deny. It's fine. Still very dead. And the single. Still very dead. Single on the Rek'Sai. It doesn't even do it. God, my math is... This is so strange. He loses to the right though. Or he just loses like Snapjaw Lurk. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he could ever live this, even if I didn't have the deny.